So this is Thriving Thursday. Now, I am super excited. We've got Monique James back with us. So grateful that she's here with us. So today I want to talk about thriving and what it means to thrive in relationships. You know, thriving in relationships, we talked a lot about this the last time, is actually learning from past experiences and choosing not to hold on to those as burdens or as hate or as unforgiveness, even when you've had a bad experience. It's not holding on to that. It is learning from that experience and growing from that experience. That's how you thrive in relationships and not just survive. Surviving would be to hold on to it, to remember it, keep it in your thoughts. Not saying that you don't make different choices from those bad experiences, but you don't let that prevent you from moving forward in life. So on this Thriving Thursday, I want to encourage you to not just survive, but to thrive. Thursday, Monique James is here with us again. Aren't we excited? Yay. Say hi in the comment section. I want you to say, hi, Monique. We love you, Monique.
Y'all, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad you were here. Last conversation that we had was fire, and I totally enjoyed it. I think that the things that came out were so good. We talked about how to make new friends and how your theatrical background really helped with being able to just step out of your comfort zone and have confidence to meet new people. But then also moving to a rural area and having to start over, so to speak, right? In your relationships, meeting new friends, and then being around a totally different culture, and then having to adjust and adapt and use tools that you gain to apply those even later in life. You're still using some of those tools, right?
Absolutely.
Today, yeah. And then the importance of loyalty and transparency and being honest in friendships. So today what we want to talk about is our friendship challenges.
Ooh.
Yeah. So subtopic, how to know when it's time to grow in friendship, and then how you know when it's time to let go. Oh, I like that. In friendship. So last time we were on here, we talked a little bit about your experience. You had alluded to it being a little challenging when you moved to Kentucky, not necessarily making friendships in the church, but making friendships outside of the church. And you said that there was some details that were in there. Do you mind going into some of those details for us?
Yeah, well, it was just, moving from the inner city of Chicago and still being around, many cultures because of performing arts, as you mentioned. And then moving into a rural city or town, what am I mean city, rural town, where it didn't feel as diverse. You get me? Even though, there were, I can even say there were other Black people that we gained friendships with, but the background of where they're from versus where we were even from there was just a difference. They were from a rural place, we're from the city, so there was even certain things we would say or do they didn't even understand. So we really felt kind of like foreigners at times in situations when we first moved there. And so just being very involved in the church, that was the main reason we initially moved there. So we thought, then years passed and you learn the real reason God moved us just Danville from Chicago, right? But it was all about, things he wanted to do within us. But, oh, we're moving to help this new church, excited, young and everything, newlyweds. And boy, we just got an awakening in so many areas. I had challenges in gaining friendships out of the church because in our church, we were just embraced from the beginning and loved and invited over for holidays and all of that. And then when I stepped out to work other places and things like that, it was much more challenging. Folks that couldn't care less about why I moved there or who I know or anything about our church, you know, and it became very clear. So it was just very hard at times to connect on a transparent level with some people. But as I stated when we spoke the other day, I was blessed. I didn't know it was such a blessing at the time to be a server at a restaurant there that actually my pastor in Kentucky owned. And boy, my coworkers, like when the filter was off, they would just be 100 about anything. No topic was off limits. And they would prepare me when they knew certain people were coming in, even if it was a family member. They would say, Moni, you're going to be serving this group of people now. I'm telling you, at home, we call you so-and-so, but you know, they're going to be cordial. I'm just warning you just in case. Seriously, true story. Multiple times this would happen. And I would be offended. I would be offended when I was referred to as something other than just Black or African American. And my coworkers would get a kick out of telling me, hey, Moni, they called you. They called. You know, I think sometimes they would make it up, but I had that Southside Moni is what I call her. She's tamed now, but Southside Moni wasn't then. And I would be in that kitchen going plumb off. And they would love it. But what it did for me was built this, I'll call it maybe a resistance, not so much, it was a wall, but a resistance in accepting it. Like, you're not going to just call me what you want to treat me any kind of way. I don't care where I move to, you know, so I would deal with that. But at the same time, it gave me tools in how to live there, thrive there, understand people, and why maybe they just won't ever want to be my friend. And it's things that aren't my fault and maybe not theirs. It's just how it was.
That's really good. So you didn't take their rejection of you as something that was personally wrong with you, but you saw that as something that was their issue and not necessarily anything that had to that would be related to you. It could have been anybody that looked like you moving to the area.
Exactly. And a lot of it was generational. You know, they were in-depth, honest, full conversations about how it was certain parts of Kentucky. Don't drive over there. Don't go there. You know, they were like my pamphlet of survival. Seriously, they were everything.
You know, I had a similar experience in Branson. They were like, "Look, don't go there after this time. If it's late, and don't pull in somebody's driveway once you got lost. Right. Pull around in the street. I don't care if it's because in Branson there's a lot of cliffs. I mean, you could your car just go off the cliff, like it's just gone." And they're like, if you get into this area, do not turn into anybody. If it says private property, do not turn in, because they will shoot you. Mm-hmm. Do not turn into their driveway. Turn around on the street. Just make small turns and then get out of Dodge.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah, well, they loved us, right?
Right. Don't you appreciate that, though? Yes. You know, at the time, it can even seem like, whoa, and you're thankful for it, but it's like, you don't realize the situations in the future you'll face where those little tips and tools will help in your situation.
Yeah, that's super good. Yeah. So how do you know when it's like when a relationship is viable? So like you moved to Kentucky, you moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then Broken Arrow, and then you moved to Texas. How do you know when a relationship is viable to continue to let it blossom? Well, I know you had mentioned, just kind of let it be organic, but there's an indicator to say, hey, this is something more than just an acquaintance. This is something worth investing in. How do you know that you're ready to make that investment?
Well, I think time tells us, spending time together, just like you do when you're in any relationship that you're building, right? You have to have that time to get to know that person. And I think along the way, like if you're someone that is discerning, and I mean, everybody's not a believer, in Jesus and, Christian, however they want to identify. It still does not mean that you don't have, there's something in us, these different signs and things that kind of alert you to make you feel like, this is something that is good, or this is something about this isn't so good. Let me, tiptoe into this, or let me be careful, or whatever. And I feel like a lot of times, just because of so many different experiences that I told you, I at one point used to really attract a certain type of person. And it seemed like this type of person was someone that was very emotional, even if it was for a season for them, or whether it be personality or a season, situational. They would draw to me and I would feel empty once they were fine, and so I got tired of that. I got tired of it, fed up, because what it did was it began to affect other relationships that weren't that. But I found that any little signal, anything that seemed similar, I had this wall, this guard, this turnoff from people, period. Then I was a little hermit that felt friendless. You know what I mean? So in going through that, I began to hone in on things about myself and learn things about me. And when I learned, I'm dealing with this, that, and the other, and rejection and stuff, I learned that I drew people with the same issues. Mine just were packed away and not dealt with. Is this
I love it.
about, or do I need to
just keep going? It's so amazing. Thank you.
Like, are we talking about this or no?
Yes, we are. I'm so excited.
So in saying that and in learning that didn't happen, that awakening, or that self-awakening didn't happen until I began to just be fed up with things that I felt like I'm in this place or that place, no matter the place, but the same situations were happening, these same cycles, these same things. And then when I began to hone in on it, and like I said, I became a hermit. Then when I was over being a bitter hermit, I was like, okay, I'll pray about it, talk to God about it, and involve him in it now. And when I did, the process began and the work began. And when I tell you, the work is constant. That was 3 years ago. It's every day we're in class.
That's good.
There's always something I'm learning, and it has helped me to have relationships that are healthy. Guess what? I'm no longer attracting that same type of person because I know how to tackle rejection and overcome and deal with it, So that has helped me in just establishing healthy relationships and being able to understand when, okay, this is a coffee date we're on, I want to have another. Let's do lunch next time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go shopping. Let's whatever, and sometimes it's spread out 6 months, right? We can assess that because life, family stuff, etc., right? But when it feels good to both of you and when you want to build and choose to, and that's what I learned. But it only happened when I dealt with me.
That's good.
I didn't know that I was the one with the issue.
Yeah.
Until later.
Yeah. I heard just this past weekend, I had gone to this conference and I heard somebody talking about, people hurting you and people doing things to you and this to trauma and that your feelings matter, and I agree with that. But I love what you're saying in this moment. You experience a situation where somebody was emotionally taxing. And when one of your other friends needed it, you were so depleted, you couldn't, when they needed you in that capacity, maybe not to the extent that this person that was draining you needed you, but they needed you just a little bit in that capacity. You were like, I can't do that. Everybody's just pulling on me. Well, it wasn't necessarily the case. It was just that you were having this bad experience over in this area, and it was affecting those other areas. And I bring that out to say, I think a lot of times, when we're looking at us, we're like, we've been hurt by people, we've done a lot of things. You know, a lot of people have done a lot of things to us, and we're recovering from that. But what I found is that my own personal issues, like you're saying, with rejection and abandonment, and, you know, having to prove myself all the time and overly explain myself, trying to prove that I'm not the person that you think I am. You know, that's my issue. You know, I'm an explainer. I want to explain everything. You know, this is the reason why I did this. These are my intentions behind it. These are the thoughts that I was thinking, you know, like going down the line, because I'm trying to let you know this is the posture that I take towards you. This is how I feel about you. I need you to understand that. So I wouldn't do these things because this is who I am. But I found that I was doing this over and over and over again in friendship, right? Even people that weren't asking me to prove myself, I was trying to prove myself that I was a loyal friend all the time, always proving myself. And I would get hurt, you know, in certain instances, but I realized that it wasn't them hurting me. It was my own issues being triggered.
That's good. Yeah. That's
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was my own stuff that I was dealing with. So I was like, let me go one level of transparency, another level of transparency on here. You and I have talked about it before. I just want to bring this out because I feel like a lot of times people are like, I don't have friends because they hurt too bad. And sometimes they're not hurting you. The friends are not hurting you. It's your own personal stuff, your own insecurities, your own fears, your own red flags, your own issues that you have with parents, or, you know, family relationships or whatever. That's the thing that you're viewing life through. You're viewing it through that lens, and because you see it through that lens, anytime anybody remotely seems similar, you push them out and you become a bitter hermit. I like that. Become a bitter hermit. So I'm gonna just go to this level of transparency, just for kicks and giggles, since you're being so transparent with me. So I was listening to a guy, and he was talking to me. He's a psychologist. He was talking to this woman, and she was like, I'm in a relationship with a guy, and I keep wanting to call him all the time. He doesn't call me, but I want to call him all the time. And you know, I just, you know, I call him all the time. He's like, please don't call me. You know, like, we're good. Don't call me 15 times a day. Like, if I don't answer, don't call me 10 times. Like, don't do that. So the guy started talking to her about just, she said she had a traumatic upbringing. And in this particular upbringing, she never heard that she was loved, right? Very often. And, you know, I don't have that in my marriage. Like, my marriage is solid. Like, I know my husband loves me. I don't think about that. But friends have always it's been a challenge to me to have friends. So that's why I like this conversation, because it helps me. Coming up, it was a challenge, you know. I just, you know, and I didn't have any guidance, you know, and I became a bitter hermit for a long time because of, you know, people that had hurt me. But anyway, so when I would get friends, you know, I was always kind of like, you know, are we really friends? Or like, is this a joke? You know?
I couldn't even
like
go into it open-minded.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't. So when I first met you, I was a lot like that. I was like, I don't know if she likes me or not, so I'm just gonna back up.
I remember that.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey girl, and then I'd see you again. I'd be like, not sure she liked me. I don't know. Well, anyway, just, you know, some of the things that I experienced as a kid, I didn't have the stability in who I was as a person, or the confidence that I needed. Not saying that my parents didn't love me, but I didn't have that. I didn't have as much as I needed. So it was like, you needed to hear that like 30 something thousand times from the time that you were a baby all the way up to like 18. 30,000 times to be reassured in who you are as a person. And sometimes when people say things to you, parents say things to you, they do it out of ignorance. And I've said this before, they do it out of ignorance. Oh, well, you're not going to do this, and you do this, and you're always this, and you're this, and yada, yada, yada. You're saying those things because you're frustrated, but those things are seeping down into that kid. And it is creating a level of insecurity that somebody else is going to have to deal with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their children are going to have to deal with the insecurity. Their spouse is going to have to deal with the insecurity. Their friends are going to have to deal with those insecurities. So when I heard that just recent, probably like several months ago. And I realized, I was like, I had finally gotten to a place where I had a solid group of friends that were always encouraging me. They had become my support system.
Yeah.
So I didn't need that.
Wow.
Right. So it gave me like a boldness and a confidence to step out and be friends with other people because I had that support. I was no longer insecure in that. I knew who I was as a person. I know I'm a good friend. You know, I know I'm loyal. I know I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I needed those people. I had like 4 people constantly pouring into me, not knowing that they were pouring into me like that, but it made me stable and it helped me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's so good. Isn't it something just how, you know, the more we've discussed relationships, friendships, right? It kind of circles back around to us.
Yeah.
Right? To me.
Yeah.
The work and a lot of times the issue in the connection, right? It's a lot of times those deeply rooted things. And it's always been not always, the last 3 years, a passion of mine is for everyone to desire to go and do the, you know, like Iyano says, do the work, right? Like to desire to do that.
Yeah.
Because how many healthy, thriving relationships could we really have if we do that, you know, are willing, and I'll say it again, willing to be transparent enough with ourselves to deal with stuff. Because when I was going through that process after coming out of that bitter hermit mode, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that was uprooted, I didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, it was so unique. Like it wasn't things that happened to me that I buried away.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I didn't even know happened and affected me in that way. So had I not chosen to be willing and deal and okay, Lord, here we go, let's deal with it, I would have never known, because it wasn't surfaced stuff or even experiences that I actually walked through myself that were affecting me. So anyway, it's my spiel on that. I'm glad that you had your, you know, process and did that work and were willing. That's good.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, Monique, it's easy for us to do it as married people, right? I will put in the work because you live with this person. You got to be with them for the rest of your life, right? If you're going to do it all the way, right?
Yeah, so you choose, right? You
Yeah.
get quick.
Yeah. Because you sleep with them, you're looking at them all the time now, never go nowhere else. They don't live anywhere else. They can't go home because they live with you, you know. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it is, you know, a lot of times marriage is romanticized, you know, and it really is the everyday. It's your breath smells. Can you brush your teeth? Or you smell bad. Can you take a shower?
Right.
And friendships are like icing on the cake, you know. Like you dress your best, you look your best, you know, unless you have like a really close friend and you're around each other all the time, then you see some of those things. But really, it should be the delight, the highlight for us. But why is it that you think that people are willing to give up so easily on friends?
That's a good question. I think because, you know, we don't sometimes realize how much our upbringing has affected us, or society even, when it comes to dealing with things. If you have not seen people around you really deal with people or put up with stuff, you become an adult and you're the same. You're not gonna put up with stuff because my mama and so and so we ain't put up with, you know. And a lot of times you see that, and I can be real and say with our culture, that's big. Like, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to take this. My circle's small, right? How often do you see that? My circle's small. It's so highlighted, like that's the way to be. And that's not necessarily the way to be, because relationships are important, and relationships are what cause us and help us to thrive in life in so many areas. So like if I have this circle right here that are my besties of 20, 30 years, well, I need this circle here too in my workplace. I need the support here, and I need it at church, and I need it, you know, in so many different areas, right? I may need mentorship, you know, where this person is this community of people or whoever, these couple of people helping me build in my profession. We need relationships. It's important. And I think the mentality of society, it makes everything look so cool. Okay, we can even use this pandemic, you know, hashtag, was it alone together? What? Like I couldn't get with that. Alone together. Ooh, we are highlighting loneliness, really. We are making this be a thing. You have to socially distance, and you can't gather, you can't meet, you can't be together in school, you can't do all these things. And look at what has happened. Look at the rates of domestic violence, suicide. Like, you line up all the negative things and look at the percentages and statistics in just the 3 months of March, April, May, and how they surpass records for the previous year in a lot of those areas, right? So that says to me, us being around one another, us connecting, people, relationships, it's important. Even if you're in a classroom, for example, one of my 4 daughters couldn't care less about going to school and being at school, and she just loves being her little introverted self. She loves it, but she thrives around people. And this is something that I learned in just mothering her, parenting her. I'm like, okay, he only thrives in those settings. She's such an introvert that, and she's so happy about it, but she's not at her very best when she's not around people. And she'll be around the people and she's gonna sit there and people watch. She's gonna judge. She's gonna come home from school and talk about how awful her day was and how her teachers need new professions. Like, she is that kid, but she thrives. It's the most crazy thing to say, but she really loves it. It is good for her.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset of society and upbringing and all of that is why people don't build, why people will just throw in the towel before working at relationships.
You know, you look at, and I like how you brought that up. I mean, we could go on. I want to talk to you about this again or something else again. So I'm just putting that out there, dropping a line. We gonna have another conversation.
Okay.
Maybe 6 months from now, but we probably before the end of the year, we're gonna have a conversation.
Let's do it.
I'll do it to you when I have a conversation with you with Marquise when y'all fighting in the, not fighting, but fussing in the car over music.
Right.
Oh, okay. So back to it. Stop. You know, you look at other cultures, like Chinese culture, and I don't mean this in, you know, I'm not talking about their political or, you know, kind of as it's very family oriented, and they live a lot longer. Japanese culture is similar to that. A lot of Asian cultures are very family oriented, very community oriented, the whole community. Now, I mean, I know we're very individualistic in the United States, you know, because we're always moving forward and always progressing and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But it makes us a very lonely society, you know. We're social but isolated, right? Not just during the pandemic, but I mean, this is even you know, just when we didn't have the pandemic, we were social together, but we weren't making connections with people. You know, I had, you know, I had having an experience when you connect with somebody, it is very fulfilling. It is very fulfilling. Not necessarily romantically connecting, but connection. It is extremely fulfilling. And there's an uplifting and just an excitement that comes along with that.
I agree.
So I love how you brought that out, because it's absolutely necessary. Those rates have gone up: domestic violence, child abuse, suicide. This is last month was Suicide Awareness Month, and suicide has gone up. I mean, this is a conversation that needs to be had. People need other people, and just where we are, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in you. It's easy to get caught up in, what you got going on in your personal life, but other people need you,
That is true.
Other people need you.
I have to remind myself of that, because I do have a family, and I'm sure you're in the same boat. You have a family. And so, I mean, in just one day, the level of things they need from you, it can take a lot, and you're not even adding on things you need to do for yourself, right? A lot of times what they have going on definitely comes before what we have going on. And so I think we were talking about this at lunch, being intentional. Remember that?
Yeah.
Being intentional. That's something that I've worked at keeping in my focal point this year, even during this time of shutdown and my relocating. As you know, I have embraced Marco Polo, because it's a way to, maybe we can't all sit down at the same time on FaceTime, but we can catch up on Marco Polo, so I can, see you, somewhat connect with you more than through the text or, real time on the phone. And so I just feel being intentional is important.
That's very good. But you know what? We are out of time. Okay. So this is Thriving Thursday, and we've talked a lot about thriving in relationships. You heard it. You can go back and rewind it. Once we get off of here, you can go back and rewind it. Remember to share. Remember to tell people. Relationships Matter 2020. Come join the page. Join the conversation. All right. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.